Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna explain you about Colpits oscillator. Here is the circuit diagram. We'll take one transistor. Uh, um, at the base we keep a inductor LB and R1 R2 a voltage divider circuit, RL and LC, two capacitors and one inductor. Here is the derivation Z1 Z2 into 1 plus HFE plus Z1 Z3 plus HIE into Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3 equals to 0. This is the equation. Here we have to substitute the inductor and capacitor values. For Z1, uh, this is Z1, Z2 and Z3. For Z1 we'll take C1 capacitor 1 by J omega C1, and for Z2 1 by J omega Z2. For inductor we'll take J omega L 1 by J. Here we have to substitute these all equations in for equation 1. Z1 1 by Z 1 by J omega C1 into 1 by J omega C2 into 1 plus HFE plus 1 by J omega C1 into J omega L plus HIE into 1 by J omega C1 plus 1 by J omega C2 plus J omega L equals to 0. Here we have to consider uh, J equals to minus 1, 1 by J into J square. So minus 1 will take omega square 1 minus 1 by omega square C1 C2 into 1 plus HFE plus L by C1 plus HIE into minus J omega C1 minus J omega C2 plus J omega by L. Here we substitute J in we'll multiply J in nominate uh, numerator and denominator. So we'll take minus 1 minus J by omega C1 minus J by omega C2. Here we take J common. Coming to next, minus 1 by omega square C1 C2 1 plus HFE plus J L by C1. This is the real part, and here is the J term, right? This one will take it as imaginary part. J into HIE into 1 minus 1 by omega 1 omega C1 minus 1 by omega C2 plus omega L equals to 0. Now we have to consider imaginary part here. Here imaginary part HIE into minus 1 by omega C1 minus 1 by omega C2 plus omega L. The J is taken to right side, so it becomes 0. Now J and HI is taken to right side and it becomes 0. Now omega L equals to 1 by omega C1 plus 1 by omega C2. Let's take inductor terms one side and capacitor terms one side, L's and C's. Omega L equals to omega C2 plus C1 by omega C1 C2. Omega L equals to omega into C1 plus C2 by omega square C1 C2. Omega square equals to C equivalent. C equivalent is nothing but C1 plus C2 by C1 into C2. Omega equals to square root of C equivalent by L or square root of L by C equivalent. Coming to real part, minus 1 by omega square C1 C2 into 1 plus HFE plus L by C1 equals to 0. Let's take omega at one side. L by C1 equals to 1 plus HFE by omega square C1 C2. Here C1 and C1 cancelled out. L omega square C2 equals to 1 plus HFE. L omega square C2 minus 1 equals to HFE. HFE equals to L into C equivalent by L C2 minus 1. L and L cancelled out. C equivalent is nothing but C1 plus C2 by C1 into C2. HF equals to C equivalent into C2. Let's substitute C equivalent here, and HF equals to C1 plus C2 by C1 minus 1 is equals to C2 by C1. Thank you.